Do you want to work in finance and earn a high salary? Are you worried that maybe investment banking, where there are high salaries, you might not make the cut? What are the other options out there? Well, no need to worry. In this video, I'll explain to you 3 other options that aren't investment banking where you can earn a high salary within the finance industry. Career option number 1 is venture capital. Venture capitalists, they provide funding to startup companies in exchange for equity ownership. The careers in venture capital involve evaluating investment opportunities, conducting due diligence, and providing strategic guidance to portfolio companies. So this is a very good option for you. You still start with a high salary relative to the average salary in your country. In America, for example, if you start as a venture capitalist at the associate level, you could be earning a salary of 70,000 to 100,000 US dollars, which is quite a high salary to be starting out, fresh out of college, fresh out of university. So venture capital is that first option there. The second option is private equity. Private equity is somewhat similar to investment banking, maybe small. It's basically a smaller finance firm that's called private equity that operates in terms of the day-to-day work, very similar to investment banking, but they can be open to more different type of candidates. They're not just going to be focused on those Ivy League universities, Russell Group universities. So you might have a better option there if investment banking careers are something you're pursuing and it's not quite working out for you. A secondary option to consider would be private equity. Now, in private equity, the professionals, the finance professionals, they focus on investing in privately held companies rather than public companies, and they focus on generating high return for their investors. So what it involves as a private equity analyst, where you could be earning a salary of $80,000 to $120,000, again, another good starting salary. It's similar to investment banking. You have companies, but they're not publicly traded companies on the stock market. They're privately owned companies. And what you do as a private equity analyst is analyze the company, look at how they can be more efficient. Maybe they could fire some staff, maybe they could relocate to a new location, open up certain new business lines, try and test the market and see how they can be more profitable. That is the role of a private equity analyst, and how they can generate funds for the companies that they're working with. Investing in those companies, making them more efficient, restructuring them, yielding a profit, which they can generate through commissions or generate through investing in the company and owning an equity stake in that private company. That's a good option for you. So again, if you have an interest in investment banking, maybe it's not quite working out for you, here's an alternative with it's a smaller operating companies. You'd have a bit more flexibility in your work schedule, a bit less pressure, a bit more of a niche, small work environment. And if you prefer smaller workplaces compared to a major investment bank, which can be big and very political, I'd advise you look into private equity. Option number 3 is quant finance or quantitative finance. Now, quant analysts, they start with high salaries also of 100,000 US dollars to 150,000 US dollars. So that's very high. And compared to the other 2 options I shared with you, this is the third and final option here, quant finance. You'd be earning the highest salary. So that's 100,000 to 150,000 US dollars, higher than venture capital, higher than private equity, and in many cases, higher than certain investment banking roles. So a good option for you to consider. And what do quants do? What does quantitative finance involve? Quants use mathematics and mathematical models, financial models, statistical analysis to analyze financial markets, to analyze specific firms. They develop trading strategies and they manage risk. And through this quantitative finance role, they could work for hedge funds, asset managers, working on trading floors, where I worked at Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley, or they can work for FinTech, financial technology firms, doing very detailed, highly complex quantitative financial research, things like econometrics that you might have heard of if you're at university. So all of kind of technical financial analysis elements, if you have that skill set, something you're interested in, maybe you're the type of personality who likes computer coding, things like that, that type of technical analysis, I recommend you look into quantitative finance. So just to finish up there, 3 alternatives to investment banking if you want a high salary within the finance industry. Option number 1, venture capital, where your salary could be 70 to 100,000 US dollars starting. And number 2 would be private equity, where you could start as a private equity analyst earning 80,000 to 120,000 US dollars. And number 3 would be quantitative finance, where your role or job title would be called quant strat, quant analyst, and you start on a salary of 100,000 to 150,000 US dollars. So 3 alternative options. Not to worry if you're not making it in investment banking. Check those 3 out. Feel free to check out the 2 videos on your screen right now, which are highly recommended, the free ebook in the description, and I'll see you in the next video.